I'm actually glad this is a pre-movie logo. For a second there, I thought I was about to accidentally watch After Earth. Comcast. 47 seconds of logos might amount to restraint in the current movie climate, but it's still sinful as
Happy birthday!
Man, Anya Taylor-Joy didn't even look this lonely in The Witch.
That's what happens when you do a mercy invite.
So Casey is that weird outsider girl that no one is friends with? Where's this high school where the misunderstood outsider girl is also the hottest one?
I believed you wanted to invite everyone.
Dad, I can't invite everyone in my art class except for one person.
Wait, her f***ing art class was the only target for invites? Is Claire in 3rd grade?
I'm proud of you, I think.
She gets detention a lot, and she yells at teachers sometimes.
Expositional parenting. This abduction takes place outside a pretty f***ing crowded strip mall in broad daylight, but nobody notices the lengthy attack on the father or the incapacitation of 3 teenagers.
This is the one that he's really funny. He does these like weekly videos.
The girl's final moments of freedom are spent discovering the CinemaSins YouTube channel for the first time. This mirror is pointing severely downward and could not be used for anything except building suspense. Certainly not for driving. If Dennis shuts the trunk, that would imply that the confrontation with Claire's dad is ended, right? So why does Casey see nothing in the side mirror right after the suspicious banging, but sees the spilled leftovers right after he shuts the trunk? Did super clean freak Dennis just kick those to-go boxes over for fun after he knocked out Claire's dad? Also, geez, look at all those leftovers. Didn't those girls eat anything?
Hey!
I know we're going for suspense and the girls in the back were absorbed in their phone, but dude was in the car for 30 f***ing seconds before anyone says a f***ing word. That is entirely too many seconds. Okay, several things here. First off, why does he immediately take off the mask after spraying the girls? The knockout juice was shot directly at Claire and Marcia, sure, but that's an airborne toxin, and this is a tightly closed sedan. Second, Dennis doesn't know anything about the Casey in the front seat, but assumes she'll be chill enough to let him work through some before he starts driving away. Third, I assume everything in the Abduct a Teenager handbook says you get the out of there immediately, rather than waste several seconds contemplating the consciousness of the abducted teens. Basically, I'm saying this teenage abduction in more ways than just regular this teenage abduction. God damn it, you literally have your pinky on the lock, your hand on the handle, and he's not even looking at you. Green light!
What the hell is going on? What are we doing here? What happened to my dad?
Claire asks Casey a series of questions that there is no way for her to know the answer to. This movie is really just an excuse to showcase Anya Taylor-Joy's ability to cry one tear at a time. Damn, this elderly woman lives at the top of a 3-story walk-up, but isn't the slightest bit out of breath when she walks in. Maybe she's a superhero.
3 students abducted. The father of one of the students woke up dazed in King of Prussia. He found the kids and the car missing.
Wait, every time we see Dennis use the sleep spray, it takes a long f***ing time for the victim to wake up. It takes at least 30 minutes to get from King of Prussia to the Philadelphia Zoo. And the girls woke up after Dennis threw them in the cell. So Dad was just f***ing laid out in the middle of a crowded parking lot until he woke up with no help? I knew Philly was a rough city and all, but damn. This is an orgy of evidence that this is a therapist's office. Barker lounger for analysis? Check. Cases full of books that look like they've been read? Got it. Weird gazelle-looking artifact to spur conversation? Sure, I guess. The subject of Barry's email says, "We need you," but when Dr. Fletcher opens the email, the subject is R.E. no subject. I, for one, am excited about the spin-off film No Subject, the case of the missing email subject. Dr. Fletcher has the most generic computer desktop in history, with no icons except desktop and recycle bin. I guess the only way to get to email is to click on that nondescript trapezoid on the bottom left. Also, this doctor apparently saves emails that were sent over 4 years before this movie came out. Also, even though some of these emails are clearly about appointments and involve patients, Barry is the only name that has the last name de-identified.
It doesn't matter if you open that door, Claire. There's a second locked door.
Right, but if she's able to unlock this door just by turning the lock knob with persistence, who's to say she can't do that again?
We should drop a crazy-ass bomb on him.
Like make him watch The Last Airbender all the way through. Also, protagonists loudly plan escape, when the antagonist could easily be on the other side of the door cliché.
Why do you do this? Why do you act like this? Why do you act like you're not one of us?
Is Claire saying this because she and Marcia's personalities are so indistinguishable from each other that they might as well be the same person?
Females are smarter than the males, but you know that. It's like humans.
This dad is a good dad, which guarantees that he'll be dead before the end of the movie. Maybe Casey blank stares so much because she's living half her life in expositional flashbacks.
Boys make too much noise.
Yes, they do.
I'll let you know when I hear something that makes sense.
Casey knows just what to do in this situation because she went deer hunting that time.
That's supposed to be like a tailored jacket, but I'm gonna hand print it with newspaper headlines.
So this is Dennis, who's posing as Barry, and he's only there to obfuscate the abduction from Dr. Fletcher because he knows Barry sent her an email earlier. But if this is Dennis, why does he not only have Barry's accent, but he also knows about fashion? Dennis is supposed to be a completely different personality. My point is, this movie's explanation for how these personalities interact.
How's work? Well, when I last spoke to them, they believed you were a model employee.
So much so that they let you live in an underground f***ing bunker on site.
Does anybody care about us?
Yes, the University of Paris has asked me to do a lecture, in fact. People are believing more.
because they're rejecting the idea that you need evidence and stuff. Also, listen, even if I ignore the controversy about dissociative identity disorder being real, diagnosable pathology, there is certainly very little evidence of it being a dangerous disorder, except, outside of a universe created by the same dude that did The Happening. I'm going to take this part of the movie with the biggest grain of salt ever created.
Don't you want your sketches, Barry? You're usually very protective of them.
Even though Dr. Fletcher is pretty sure Barry's not Barry, this prompts her to do nothing until he emails her again.
They always use their thumbs. Flick it, flick it.
I'm not entirely sure these two elderly women aren't watching porn.
Absolutely free.
Yep.
I don't know how you work with those people.
What people?
Your patients.
That's pacist.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
No offense.
This was Barrett's exact response to everyone who said, "No, really, Split is good, man. You would totally love it." Movie expects me to believe that these three girls are all able to see through the crack in the door at the same time, even though Marcia is looking at the back of Claire's head and Casey is crouching near the center of the door. Also, if they're looking through the crack, why is Patricia's head obscured? Because it's more interesting to reveal that Patricia and Dennis are actually the same person when he opens the door?
Somebody are there?
The way this movie is set up, the only time the other identities don't know what each other is doing depends solely on the convenience of the plot.
He's not allowed to touch you.
Not only is it rarely diagnosed, it's super rare for people with DID to not only have the means, but time to play dress-up for every single f***ing personality.
Well, were they open this time with the new evidence?
You submitted video of a dog acting differently to one of your patients at different times.
With the over 600 patients her filing cabinet suggested, you'd think she'd be able to muster up better evidence than that.
Speak of them like they're supernaturally gifted, like they have powers or something.
Force-arguing.
We have brain scans now. DID patients have changed their body chemistry with their thoughts.
I'm guessing she didn't have that evidence before the due date, forcing her to send the dog video instead. Also, it's telling that I would much more easily accept being exposed to gamma radiation, or being bitten by a super spider, or being a bioengineered raccoon as a more plausible origin for a superhuman story than this. Jesus, even for a doctor, this is some unintelligible handwriting, and there's no chance Fletcher would be able to get any information from her own notes.
He's on the move.
As a 9-year-old, Hedwig loves to play games, and one of his favorites is the pronoun game.
You're not the lady.
What are you, blind?
Hey, no need for that sass, considering you all know you live in the same person's body, and you know you're stuck inside one person's head.
I stole the light from Mr. Dennis, but he'll be back real soon, and he'll know and get angry.
And they're aware of each other.
But Mr. Dennis? He said that you followed those two girls for 4 days?
So were Marcia and Claire together for 4 days? Or did Dennis follow Claire and Patricia follow Marcia? Wait. Also, if he was stalking them, why did he pick the moment after the birthday party when another girl and Claire's dad was with them to finally abduct them? Come the f*** on. We just saw Hedwig in full Hedwig costume walk away, so it took less than 13 seconds for him to change mentally and sartorially into Dennis? This zoo just happens to have human-sized ductwork to properly regulate the temperature of this underground bunker. Claire should have known she'd be caught after hiding in what is clearly Davy Jones' locker.
Look at your sweater. It's ruined. It's dirty. Remove it.
Because we have hot teenage girls in our movie, and we're gonna make the most of it, damn it.
You'll not see your friend again.
So why didn't he put them in different cells in the first place? There's obviously plenty of room, and a guy as fastidious as Dennis should know that it's more difficult to deal with 3 versus 1 in an enclosed area.
You take off your skirt, you take off your shirt. Clothes you got all dirty from the dust.
What's casually played as one of Dennis's pervy character traits is another cheap excuse for the filmmaker to add a little disturbing sex appeal to this movie.
The differences in the identities can be dramatic.
So much so that they feel the need to dress up individually so moviegoers can easily distinguish them.
Have these individuals, through their suffering, unlocked the potential of the brain?
No.
Jay, what health-conscious fast food purveyor did you originally solicit to buy these chicken wings you've so lovingly reheated in a minor suicidal gesture?
Goddamn, M. Night was apparently possessed by Aaron Sorkin for a minute.
So look around 318.
M. Night Shyamalan continues his Hitchcockian desire to have a cameo in all of his movies, only this time his character is Hitchcockian hacker hooving Hooters.
What are you up to, Dennis? Or is it Patricia who's deciding things?
Or we can make up all new personalities, like the ones that were casually mentioned previously in the therapy office. Glenda? LeBron? Aloysius? What are those assholes up to?
We're not gonna die.
I mean, I'm not gonna die. Sorry, I said we there, because there's no f***ing way you survive this.
It's good. It's got paprika in it.
Damn it, as much as I'm bagging on this movie for having a ridiculous premise, James McAvoy's performance is awesome. I'll take a sin off for Dennis, another for Patricia, and half a sin for Hedwig, because it's good acting, but he still kind of annoys me.
I've heard that Asian people's music aids digestion.
Citation needed. Of all the potentially lethal or incapacitating items in this kitchen, Marcia goes with the clunky folding chair, which has a 100% rate of ineptitude both in movies and WWE events. So the Beast is a legendary figure in Kevin's mind, but Hedwig says he's done terrible things to people before. Does he mean in actuality? Because Kevin Barry's been chilling at this job for 10 years, and Fletcher's never met the Beast, so when the did that happen?
See, every one of us has to wait in a chair, and Barry, he decides who stands in the light.
If all the personalities are sitting in chairs waiting for their turn in the light, then what the are they doing in the meantime? Do they all have fidget spinners or something to keep them occupied? Fletcher may indeed be a doctor, but the only degree we're clearly shown here is a master's, so I'm calling into question her qualifications. Also, Tulane University's obviously a made-up school anyway.
Can I guess that you emailed me in the middle of the night due to garden variety issues?
And Dr. Fletcher is the anti-Sherlock. She's seen the news reports of the girls that were taken on the same day Barry emailed her. She also knows Dennis and Patricia support this terrible Beast character, and that they're likely at the wheel here. And yet she hasn't done jack to alert the police or a colleague or anyone that could be helpful in figuring out if there's a link to the girls. She's just been jacking off with M. Night while eating Hooters.
You and Patricia have never met the Beast.
That's because he's not an alter.
Ha ha ha, case closed. Nice job, Karen. Let's wrap this up and head down to Applebee's while it's still happy hour. Hang on, does every alter get their own room? And if so, how efficient is that? There were 23 of them, and Barry has the light the majority of the time, so is he supposed to clean up all their feed the gerbils, etc.? This dance is equal parts hilarious and terrifying, making it essentially a Drake music video.
I'm being held in a basement. I've been abducted with 2 other girls.
Tell Larry and Fish I said hi. Tell him I still got his orange headphones.
I would be angry at this stupid dick on the other side of the line that doesn't care about a distress call, but I'm more annoyed that this asshole hasn't returned those orange headphones. It's becoming clear that Dennis's real superhuman power is the ability to completely change outfits, this time in 21 seconds.
The Beast is a sentient creature who represents the highest form of human's evolution.
Poor Anya Taylor-Joy, always getting involved with godlike figures that demand personal sacrifice. Jesus, try a comedy.
He believes the time of ordinary humanity is over.
Wait, are we talking about the same Beast that's one of the X-Men? And the one that helped Charles Xavier all those years when he looked a lot like Dennis?
I was gonna ask for your last shirt, but I won't.
Because it needs to be slowly ripped off her as she tries to escape later. The email received sound was what got Fletcher over to look at the screen, but that's been going on for the last 15 minutes and she just heard it?
We're very similar, you and I.
We are very similar, you and I cliche.
Got a proper quarters for me on a building on the south side.
I'm a huge advocate for people with mental health issues getting good jobs. In fact, it's a great thing. But even people without severe psychiatric illnesses should be looked at suspiciously if they live underground in a fucking zoo, especially if they work there.
He wrote about a woman in Germany who'd been blind for 10 years. Then 3 of her identities developed sight. Her optical nerves regenerated because of her beliefs.
With discoveries like this, Dr. Fletcher should just leave the therapeutic field and dive straight into the clergy.
He's on the move.
What does that mean? I don't understand.
Dr. Fletcher would be excellent at CinemaSins.
Who are you going to meet?
Him.
Damn it, they were about to get through this entire vague conversation without playing another pronoun game.
We need to get out of these rooms.
Claire, who was the first to try and escape certain death 50 movie minutes ago, suddenly remembers she still needs to escape certain death. Oh good, Casey finally found Kevin's hard drive of exposition. This airbox says unable to connect to the internet, even though the Wi-Fi signal at the bottom right shows full bars, and there's no indication that there is no internet connection. That this even sort of works. Fletcher mentioned earlier that the Beast hypothetically lived in a train yard, since Kevin's dad was probably killed by Mr. Glass in Unbreakable. But why does Kevin need to use this particular train to morph into Beastie, other than providing ample time for the girls to try to escape? Yeah, when you see a tough DID case like this, there's always one asshole personality that has to be addressed by his last name. Looking at you, Mr. Pritchard. Dennis finds a completely empty train car with the lights ominously turned off for him to unleash the Beast.
It's an animal!
But how the f would you know this? This can't be the first multiple personality turned supernatural serial cannibal case you've worked, right, Detective Dooley? Fletcher has the wherewithal to write Kevin's full name down, but isn't able to say it out loud, which has a much better shot of making the captive girls aware of it. More like Vane's McAvoy, am I right? The Beast loves Dr. Fletcher enough that he cuddles her to death. Okay, even if this is a supernatural cannibal beast thing, why just eat a little bit of the midsection and leave almost the entirety of delicious Marcia meat lying on the floor?
Let's go.
There have now been 2 savage murders, and Casey has heard screams from neither of them. Claire Carpaccio. Yeah, it's creepy and everything, but does the Beast really need to be crawling on the walls right now to get to Casey? Or is he just showing the f*** off? Holy shit, for a guy that just eviscerated 2 teenagers, Kevin's hands are amazingly blood-free.
You kill me.
No, wait.
Fletcher said it would be goddamn devastating for the alters to hear Kevin's full name. So if it's so f***ing powerful, why does it only last less than 2 f***ing minutes again?
Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Kevin is asleep.
Why doesn't saying that name work after the first time? Because M. Night says it doesn't work after the first time, motherfuckers. Even though he could easily kill her, the Beast prefers to Padme Casey's shirt for future viewing.
The impure are the untouched.
Let's talk about the Beast's plan. He wants to rid the world of the untouched, but why? Is this just a tiny twist on horror movies always focused on killing the f***ing virgin?
Let him show the world how powerful we can be.
Powerful enough to convince the movie studio to make a sequel.
Just like that crazy guy in the wheelchair that they put away 15 years ago. What was it?
Apparently no other weird murders have happened in metropolitan Philadelphia over the last 15 years, leading this waitress to openly muse about the one other link to a twisty Shyamalan movie.
Mr. Glass.
So is this the big M. Night Shyamalan twist? This movie shares a universe with Unbreakable? Considering the current trends in movies, I wouldn't consider the creation of a cinematic universe a twist. It's really more of an expectation at this point. Wait, David's still working a menial labor job that requires a Dickies work shirt? How has he not moved on to superhero elsewhere? The DCEU could have used his ass for the last 5 years.
Does someone need a hug?
Why do you do this? Why do you act like this? Why do you act like you're not one of us?
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
I've heard that Asian people's music aids digestion.
Watch what our hanger's doing in this closet!
Maybe I could watch you dance.
I hope you dance.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yes.
The Beast? He's coming for you.
Don't mock me.